and good evening, everyone, and welcome to a new edition of our EHF Champions League Hangouts. Straight away, I want to apologize for the slight delay, just some few technical problems we had to solve, but now we're online. And I hope that 48 hours of the very first Women's EHF Champions League quarterfinals, I hope that everyone can hear me. Peter in Denmark, can you hear me?
Absolutely, Thomas. I hear you brilliantly.
Perfect. That's a bit like Eurovision here. Nemanja in Serbia, can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Fantastic. Joachim in New York, can you hear me as well?
Yes, very well.
Perfect. And Adrian in Romania, can you hear me?
Everything is very good.
Fantastic. Well, thanks for joining us, guys, and for all your fans out there, obviously, if you have any questions, please make use of our Twitter account and tweet your questions at EHFCL, or use the Google Hangout question and answer tool, and we will throw your questions in to our experts as soon as they come. Well, with you guys, we've literally covered almost all of the 8 teams that are involved in this very first quarterfinals. But the biggest game is obviously the one Vardar facing the defending champions here in the first leg on Sunday. It's also the one that is probably the one that is closest to call. Who thinks, and I'll just make this a very quick hands-up thing, who says that Gjør will eventually be in the Final Four? Hands up. 1, 2. Who says that Vardar will be in the Final Four? 2, good, 2. That's I like it. I like it very much. Adrian, I think you raised your hand first. Give us your top 2 reasons why Gjør will beat Vardar.
First of all, I know that Gjør has a lot of injuries and missing players. It's very hard to play without Gjørbit. But the defending champions are a great team. Martin Ambush is a great coach. He knows how to motivate his team, and more importantly, I think Gjør is better in defense than Vardar. I saw several Vardar games this season, and I wasn't convinced at all by their play. They have very good moments. They are a great counter-attack team, but they lack consistency, and in the final minutes, this is what will decide the game.
Nemanja, but isn't consistency exactly what Vardar found in the last few games in this Champions League main round that has just passed?
Well, yeah, they've been looking a completely different team in the last few games, but it's personified by the performance of Anja Althaus, for example, because they lacked security on the line player spot, obviously after Jokic left, and then Begoña Fernandez with an injury, and then another pivot with an injury. So that's something that actually Anja needs some time to get back into the team. Over this weekend, I actually spoke to Andrea Penisic, who underlined that. She said that they're playing with much more security right now, and there are various reasons for it. If you like, we can go through them now or throughout the Hangout, however we like it.
That sounds like you have probably about enough reasons for Vardar to be here that would fill half an hour. Well, give us your what's your God, that is like if anyone remembers the 2006 World Cup, sorry, I have to switch to football, World Cup quarterfinal, and that piece of paper that was given to Jens Lehmann, the German goalkeeper, that is exaggerating what had been given to Jens Lehmann. This is Indira Kastratovic aware of that? You have like all her tactics in your book already.
Well, pretty much. If she's not aware, she is going to be by the time they get to Final Four. So.
Good. I'm glad.
If Gjør doesn't call me, and we can make arrangements. Just kidding. But yeah, Indira Kastratovic is aware, but Jan Pitlik is not aware that I have everything with Vardar right now, which is what excites me the most about him, because he implemented some changes that I haven't been able to see in other games so far. For example, he added solidity in their defense, and the tactical awareness is not focused right now. attack is not based on rushing out or get the ball to Lekic, she will do something, do magical stuff with it. I think the Vardar team are more spread out now, and I think that the key role in the team is slightly shifting towards Penisic, who is the sharpshooter, obviously. That's one of the things. The other thing has to be that if their goalkeeper Leno has a good day, she can be a deciding factor, and nobody knows when she's going to have a good day. But I hope it's going to be. And also about my prediction, I'm actually more hoping for Vardar to win against Gjør than it is actually something realistic, because common sense says one message, while being looking what's best for handball and what's whatnot is the other. So that's the reason why I want Vardar in Final Four and not Gjør, because I don't think that we're going to see the best handball of Gjør this season.
Well, wanting, that's one thing. What are the hard and straight facts, Peter, that make you see Gjør topping Vardar eventually?
Well, I'm not sure if everyone noticed that the hand I put up was actually a quite hesitating hand, because I'm not at all sure about this tie, about those two matches. I see it as a very, very equal tie, but I have still a little more belief in Gjør than in Vardar, even though I will not be surprised, or not surprised if Vardar pulls the trick at the end. But I see a little more consistency, a little more experience in the Gjør team, and this added to the fact that they are finishing at home, I think that will decide in a very, very close and very tight quarterfinal tie. If you look at the team sheets of the two teams, look at them players by player, there's really not much of a difference, and if there is a difference, it would actually, as I see it right now, be in the favor of Vardar. But I am very, very much in doubt if they can stand the distance against Gjør over two matches. I'm sure Gjør will have a very, very difficult first leg in Skopje, and it will be very interesting to see if they can get a result on which they can build on in the return match. But if I have to put percentages on it, I would say that it's 55-45 in the favor of Gjør, in my opinion.
Well, that's more than most of the coaches say, because they always say it's a 50-50 game. So thanks for this straightforward.
I'm not a coach.
Peter, I have a quick question, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think, or actually, in your opinion, what's the possibility of having two home wins in this tie? Because I think that's pretty much what's going to happen.
Well, I'll throw this question to Joachim, and if I understand you correctly, Nemanja, Joachim, you said that Vardar will eventually be in the Final Four. By how many goals do you think they have to win to be kind of sure of going to Gjør on a safe level, if you know what I mean?
The more the better.
Yeah, good. That's a coach answer. Yes.
The more the better. It will be difficult. It will be tight. I'm taking like pretty much the opposite side from Peter. It will be in favor of Vardar, for the simple reason because of the element of Jan Pytlik. I mentioned it before. I was not impressed with the coaching of Coach Kastratovic. Up to the point when Jan Pytlik joined. I think with his input, the style changed a bit. As I think Nemanja pointed out, they're playing more with the line player now, and I think that adds a dimension that they didn't show before. So over two games, it will be Vardar. If it would be one game, I probably would lean towards Gjør, but over the course of two games, Vardar will pull it out very narrowly.
Adrian, from your point of view, where will this match be decided? In defense, by the goalkeepers?
I really think that the game will be decided in the defense because I saw Gjord playing more than Vardar, I think, this season, and I liked what they were bringing to the table in the defense. They were properly motivated there. They are trying to bridge the gap with the other teams after they lost several players, several important players like Gorbitz, like Amorim, like Tervel, and I think their defense is their main strength. Also, having the second leg played at home, it helps a lot because the atmosphere will be great there, and also it's likely that Gjord will qualify in the second leg, like Joachim said earlier. The games will be pretty tight. I think that it's the most exciting quarterfinal, and I think it will be a great handball.
Emmanuel, just quickly, because we're getting the first questions in here. What do you think are the key matchups, the key face-to-face situations, so to say, in this game? You mentioned, Althaus, Penisic, Lekic from Wada. Where do you see the equivalence on the Gjord side?
On the Gjord side, obviously on Susan Miller and Heidi Locke. It's going to be the key head-to-head, between Althaus and Penisic Miller, because they'll be against each other in defense. And speaking of defense, one thing I forgot to say is that Vardar is working very hard to improve the defense because they've had actually training matches against Esbjerg, the Danish team, and also against men's under-18 team of Vardar. So that's the changes that Pytlik has been implementing. So the defense is improving, and that's quite a bit encouraging for Vardar right now.
Well, we'll see. First game next Sunday, the second game I think on April 11th, and after that we'll all be a bit wiser. First question here coming from our follower Jens on Twitter, and Joachim, I give this to you and later on to Peter because it's been on Larvik. How will Larvik do in these quarterfinals, and how far can they eventually go? Joachim.
Well, in the quarterfinals, I think their biggest enemy would be themselves. Like, given the injuries that Thüringer HC has now, it didn't look good for them beforehand. But now with the injuries of Natko Naya and I believe Sonja Frey, as well as the main goalkeeper, it looked really bleak, I would say. So the biggest risk for Larvik is that they really underestimate the fighting spirit of Thüringer HC in the quarterfinals. With regards to who will go all the way, I've said it a long time ago, from the get-go, it will be Larvik all the way. Deepest bench, more quality than any of the other teams, most experience, you name it. I don't see that they really will be challenged in a Final Four format by any of the other teams.
Mm. Peter, I see you nodding slightly. Is that correct, or would you contradict in either the first or the second part of the question?
I can't contradict anything of what Joachim said because that's pretty much what I've been saying for quite a long time. And if we look isolated at the quarterfinal first, there's absolutely no doubt that Larvik are huge favorites. Extra huge favorites considering the injuries by THC that Joachim also already mentioned, Natgoya and Kausa and Frey. But I don't think that even a THC team in their strongest outfit would have been a real threat over two matches to Larvik. As Joachim said, the greatest risk for Larvik is underestimating the Thüringer team and their fighting spirit. And if one is to believe Larvik's Danish goalkeeper, Sander Toft, whom I interviewed earlier this week, there's absolutely no reason to believe that they will underestimate the THC. They have very great respect for them, at least in their own arena, where they have the support of a quite a loud and quite a big crowd. So I don't think we will see much underestimating from the side of Larvik. And even if so, I think that over 2 matches they will have no problems qualifying to for the final four. And as Joachim said, and I agree completely with that. And as I've also said before, I think that in the final four we will also see Larvik take the win.
It's much more fun actually if you contradict yourself. So Nemanja and Adrian, help me out. Where is Larvik's weak point? Where can Thüringer, I'd say, potentially tease Larvik a bit? Nemanja?
Well, I think that there is no particular point per se, but I think that complacency.
So basically, the page for Thüringer, I'd say, is empty here. Is that right?
Sorry.
The double page for Thüringer HC in your tactics book is empty.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Good.
But yeah, I think that that complacency is the biggest threat for Larvik because they've been playing so good, and I think that much better teams than Thüringer cannot threaten Larvik on their way to the Final Four. So I would like to hear some more from somebody who's closer to the Thüringer team about what might be the strength. But I think didn't see it from what I've followed from them.
I think, unfortunately, Adrian, we have to admit that you're Romania-based and not Germany-based. But can you give us something more for Thüringer to rely on than simply fighting spirit?
Well, I would have talked to Herbert Müller because he knows Romanian very good. He
that's
lives in Romania.
Yeah.
But I didn't, unfortunately, I didn't talk to him for several months right now. I really think that Thüringer's fighting spirit is their biggest advantage right now. They have to get close. They have to play as a team because losing Nadgornaya, Frey, and Krause is a big disadvantage for them. And I really can't get an argument for them. But I really think that they will play their best game and will try to make a surprise because, as I know Herbert Müller, he will do everything in his power to motivate his team.
Questions keep coming because I think this, from all you four, seems to be a pretty straightforward affair. And question to you, Peter, from our user Rodrigo. Hi, Rodrigo. I'm really glad you're back. I've actually missed you asking questions over the past few Hangouts. And Rodrigo asked, what does Viborg have? What does Viborg have to do? Sorry, what does Viborg have to do to beat Budućnost? And which player they must focus on? I think that refers to which Budućnost player Viborg has to focus on.
Well, the best thing Viborg can do or try to rely on is we have spoken about fighting spirit already in connection with CRC with Thüringer, and I see the situations, the matchups Thüringer against Larvik and Viborg against Budućnost as very much alike, underdogs against favorites, and two teams who are not only underdogs but also terribly haunted by injury. That has been that's the situation for Thüringer, and that has been the situation for Viborg more or less all through this season. Viborg have been a bit reinforced here during the past few weeks with Isabel Gildin back and with Mette Grauholt back, but still there's a very big gap to be able to really threaten Budućnost over 2 matches. Viborg did very impressively in the quarterfinals in the Danish championship playoff against Randers, but there's still a gap between Randers and Budućnost. So what Viborg really has to rely on is probably what veteran and Skov told me earlier this week, that those matches are really free matches for them. They are bonus matches. They can play freely because no one really expects anything from them. So that's probably the biggest advantage. But of course, the chances over 2 matches are not great, considering the fact that they have been reinforced, have got some of their injured players back lately, may give us a quite interesting match on Easter Sunday in Viborg Stadion, where they may be able to put some pressure on Budućnost. But over two matches, I would say that it will be more than difficult for Viborg, and it would have been even with a Viborg team in their strongest outfit. Regarding what Budućnost players they will have to focus on, I would say more or less the entire Budućnost team, because they have a very strong and very solid team, which will cause Viborg great problems on all positions and in all the phases of the game, I'm sure.
Mm. Well, you don't make it sound very easy for Viborg. Joachim, you, I think we're following Viborg's recent rise, I'd say, also, and Peter already mentioned the Danish quarterfinals in the championship. They quite comfortably won, and do you think it might be momentum that speaks for Viborg, or that could potentially speak for Viborg at least?
Well, I don't see it quite as bleak as Peter sees it. I think Viborg will give Budućnost a run for their money, certainly in Viborg. It will be interesting to see what the coach will do in order to neutralize Niagu and Bulatovic. Once we're successful there, then you may have a better chance. So it will be very interesting to see what the Viborg coach will deploy as tactics versus these two players in particular. Of course, then you have to try to score against the best defense in the Champions League, which is a challenge by itself. But playing against Niagu and Bulatovic successfully, you may have a shot. Viborg is quite a fast team. I don't think that that is something that suits Budućnost very well. They are more used to a slower pace of game. So I don't see it quite as bleak, not in Viborg. Over the course of the two games, unfortunately, yes, Viborg will not have the strength and the power to overcome Budućnost over the course of the two games.
Nemanja, I really like the idea that you brought your tactics book to this Hangout. Just read out the first 2 or 3 sentences that you put down for Budućnost. I'm sure that's kind of very close to Dragan Acic's tactics, how to beat the Danish team.
Oh, they're actually written by Dragan Acic.
They just wrote it himself for you.
Yeah, he just lent me. I'm kidding. But yeah, I'm actually online there with the previous comment saying that the pace is going to decide the game. Whoever sets the tempo from the beginning is going to win Viborg against Budućnost. You hear me? Yes?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Good. Yeah. Because if I'm not mistaken, Viborg had a change of coach recently, yes? And
that's correct.
Yeah, exactly. And from what I've seen with the new coach, they're playing much more stable, and their defense is much better right now. So much more of a threat for Budućnost. But this is the defining moment of the season for Budućnost. From the start of the season, they said we want to go to the Final Four. Everything they've built is based around the Final Four, so I just can't overlook them. What Acic basically said about the game is that he's going to try to neutralize the attacking threat of Viborg in the first match, and then the second match he's going to try and attack a little bit more, because that's the variety that Budućnost have to have, and the thing that they'll be lacking. They lacked actually last year against Gyor in the final, and they really have to have a bit more variety if they want to play in the Final Four and win the Final Four this season. And I'm looking forward to see it against Viborg, because it's not going to be an easy game, whatever anyone says.
That's a bit late looking for variety in the quarterfinals, isn't it? Shouldn't that variety?
Yeah, but speaking of Budućnost, we all know pretty much what we can expect. You know, it's a low-scoring game, tough defense. You know how their offense works, and there have been some varieties that they're trying to accompany to the game since the Euro and since the national team. and some things that I've seen in them training, and some things that Adic and the people from Budućnost told me that they are working on, and I'm very eager to see it on the court. So that is the reason I'm actually anticipating a little bit different approach, especially in defense, because they need to step further from their 6-0 defense. I think the 5-1 defense can be the key.
So, but in the end, if I interpret you correctly, you see Budućnost going through.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Adrian, do you see them stumble, or Budućnost?
Well, I can't see them stumbling because they had an almost flawless performance right up until now. They were very good in defense, like Nemanja said. I was very, very impressed because not they only were very hard, but they were mentally set, very good to do what they needed to do. But I think in attack also they have a lot of weapons. Nagu is, of course, I think the best player in the world right now, having a great season, injury-free for I don't know when. She wasn't like that. Also, Bulatovic was very good. Knezevic, so and so. But in all, I think Budućnost should be the favorite because Viborg has some lacks that can't be overcome.
And
sorry, yeah, go ahead.
There is one advantage that I've we all neglected to say about Budućnost winning against Viborg, and that's Bojana Popovic. She played for Viborg, and she's a legend there. And if anyone knows Viborg, that's Bojana. I actually have a quote of Bojana says that she said that Budućnost must accept the roles of favorites. Finally, no more understatements.
Do you think that holds true even beyond the quarterfinal?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I'm getting a question in here. Okay. Jens is back on track here on Twitter. I'll just quickly throw this in, Adrian, before we go back to you and the Bayer Mare Dynamo quarterfinal. Slightly off topic, or slightly ahead of us, Jens would like to know who would be the 2 final teams. He calls it the real final, so not, I think that kind of links to what you just said. Nemanja, so Budućnost obviously is one of your finalists. I think I've kind of heard. Who's your second?
Yeah, definitely.
Who's your second? Your second finalist?
Larvik.
Peter, your 2 finalists?
Well, depending on the draw for the semifinals, of course, I would say that if they don't meet each other before, it would be it would be Larvik against Gjør in the final.
Larvik against Gjør. Joachim, quickly.
Yes, Budućnost versus Larvik.
Okay, and Adrian, your final?
I have to agree with Nemanja and Joachim. Budućnost versus Larvik is the most likely final, of course, regarding the draw.
Okay, thanks for asking, Jens. Hope you're staying with us, and I hope this answered your question. Coming back to you, Adrian, the Bayer Mare against Dynamo Sinara quarterfinal. I think if we talked to each other about 10 weeks ago, or what it was, there would have been only a small minority that would have seen Bayer Mare in the position they're currently on. Has it sunk in with the team itself already that they have reached the quarterfinals despite starting on 0 points in the main round?
I think we have to separate what Bayer Mare did until December and what they did after January, because the change of coach from Jeski to Tisali has been the main decision in there, and that changed everything. They were right to change the coach because the team wasn't playing as they should. The players didn't like Jeski, let's put it this way. Kind of, they hated him. Camilla Herem said in the Norwegian press that she doesn't like it in Bayamare. Many of them told they weren't settled, but after Tisali came, everything changed. We see a different Bayamare team. Even if they lost against Győr, even if they lost against CSM Bucharest, because that was a big loss for them in the Romanian Championship. But we see a different team, more balanced team. Almost all players are scoring right now. They have great attacking schemes with playing the wing, the pivot, or just shooting from the 9-meter line. But and in defense, they are also better. Paula Ungureanu and Barbara Arenhart are slowly getting in form and are peaking at the right moment. So I think Bayamare is peaking at the right moment. And I think if I didn't see them as favorites 2 weeks ago, now I see them as big favorites because what Dinamo had this week. They played 2 games in the Russian Championship against Anastra Hanochka. They lost both of them. One of them after 80 minutes of play, the next one 23-19, but Astra Hanochka led all the way. So I think Dinamo will be mentally and physically tired for this game. Also, bear in mind that they have to leave Volgograd and reach Budapest by plane. After that, they will go to Mare by coach, a 6-hour trip. That shouldn't be very good for their physical state right now. And that's why I see Bayamare as favorites. But also, Dinamo is a very good team. Bayamare won't treat them differently. They won't think of themselves as the favorites because Tisali and all the team are confident that Dinamo is a great danger. They have an astonishing 9-meter line with Kochetova, Akopian, and Dmitrieva, and also the second leg is in Russia, which is an advantage for Dinamo.
Mm-hmm. If you very briefly had to put it down in 1 or 2 reasons, what are the main things that Tisali changed compared to his predecessor?
First of all, the language of the team is now the English, because Bucescu was insisting on speaking Romanian, even if the foreign players, which are many, which Donashimento, Arenhart, Davidenko, and so on, didn't understand until now. And as I said before, the attack. More players are getting involved, even if Bayamare doesn't have a very good 9-meter line, because Davidenko and Georgievska were off target, let's put it this way, this season. Abing has just come back from an injury, so they are really playing Elisei as a left back, and that paid out great in the last games, also against Bibor. This was the move that changed the course of the game and helped Bayamare for their win.
Joachim, I think in our last hangout, if I remember correctly, you more or less put it down to pure luck, and lack of performance on behalf of Vardar, and so that Dinamo actually ended up in second place in their main round group. Does that make you say also that Bayamare are the favorites in this match?
Yes, I agree with Adrian that the depth of Bayamare will make the difference. I think the 3-4 players of Dynamo are well known. You know where the danger is coming from. I think they will deal with it successfully in both games. The biggest threat or annoyance, whatever you want to call it, is probably the traveling to the 2 destinations. That is a challenge. It's not easy, but in terms of looking at the different teams, it will be Bayamare in my viewpoint, for more than one reason. The biggest reason is again the depth of the team, more opportunities to change players. And I think they're also the faster team, ultimately. They have more options on the counter-attack than Dynamo.
Nemanja Vardar was one of the teams that in the first main round leg, so to say, fell victim to Dynamo. I think it was by 8 goals or so that they beat them, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Do you think that Dynamo has a chance? Adrian and Joachim disagree, but do you see the possibility for the Russian side to advance?
Well, yeah, definitely see the possibility, but you know, the quarterfinal is played in 2 legs, and you really have to endure and transfer your freshness from the first leg to another. And I think that the longer bench that the Bayamara has at their disposal is going to be the deciding factor. Although I think it's not going to be an easy fixture one fair bit. I think the Dynamo is going to give them a run for their money.
Mm-hmm. Is that do you consider it an advantage that they play the second leg at home? It always seems to be like some people say it is an advantage. Some people prefer playing the first match at home.
Well, let's just say that if I were the coach, I would like to play second leg at home.
Peter, who goes to Budapest, Bayamara or Dynamo?
I would still go for Bayamara as I've been doing for some weeks by now. They seem to have a more complex team. They have a stronger team if you look at the team player by player, and they have a deeper and more consistent team. And of course, also if we look at the performances, the results of those two teams lately, Bayamara are favorites. However, you should never forget, and I'm one of those who would always, if I was a coach, which I'm not, I would always prefer to finish at home. I am one of those who say that it is an advantage to finish at home, and we should not underestimate the fact that it's not particularly easy to travel to Volgograd for a second leg. Bayamara will have to have quite a substantial lead from the first leg, I think, to feel relatively secure in the return match. But a narrow advantage for Bayamara is still what I see. So I also still see Bayamara in Budapest.
What would you call a substantial lead that Bayamara would need to take to Volgograd?
5 goals at least.
5 goals, okay. Nemanja, you have the honor for the last question. This gets us back to the quarterfinal, but don't leave us yet. The important finish is yet to come. Just very quickly, because the question arises probably from Sophie, Hungary. Joined us a bit late for the Hangout, but give us your reasons again. She asked the question, sorry. What do you think will be the decisive factors in the match between Győr and Vada?
Okay, well, hi Sophie, thank you for the question. I think that semi-counter and transitional defense.
And in the end, that speaks for Vada. If I go back to what you previously said.
Yeah, that speaks a little bit more in favor of Vada. Yes.
I'm curious to see now, after your predictions, which teams we will see eventually in Budapest on 9th and 10th of May at the MBM Final Four. I think Larvik is a given from all you've said. Budapest seems to be more or less a given. Bayamara, I see you speaking in favor of, and then it's all open, Győr or Vada. So give us 2 more weeks and we will know. But we've started the voting for the Women's EHF Champions League All-Star team, and fans are in need for your help. Nemanja, I'm sure you've put it all down.
Actually, I haven't, so but I will.
Very quickly, I'll give you 2 positions each. We'll do the full 7 positions plus the best coach, which we have in the list of positions, so to say, to vote for. I'll name you the 5 players that we have nominated for these 5 positions, and then you name your favorite. Is that okay? Everyone understood?
Yep. Okay.
Cool. Nemanja, do you want to start? Nevertheless, I would give you a goalkeeper and the left wing.
Yep. Okay.
I'll give you the nominees. It's not that. Here we go. Let me quickly say. There you go. So goalkeeper, you can decide between Marta Steric, Sandra Toft, Anna Siroikina, Amandine Leno, or Katja Schulke.
Okay, I'm going to go for Toft because Zdaric is not going to play because of personal reasons, and she will not travel with Revolutionist. So Toft is going to be my pick.
Toft is in the All-Star team, okay? But she did play beforehand, obviously, and she did play quite well beforehand. That's why.
Yeah, Marta was amazing. Yeah, she was.
Yeah. Left wing, Tamara Mafsha, I hope I pronounce it correctly.
Mafsha, yes.
Paul Baudouin, Valentine Ardillon, Ziraba Dembélé, or Maria Fisker on the left wing.
Well, in line with my predictions, I'm going to go with Dembele.
Okay, good. So we've got Toft and Dembele, goalkeeper, left wing. Who is next? Who's next? Peter, can I give you the next two?
Sure.
Left back and line player. Left back, we have Kristina Niagu, Natgonaya, Andrea Penisic, Alina Wojtas, or Olga Akopian.
Then my pick would be Kristina Niagu.
Kristina Niagu on the left back. Line player, Peter, Heidi Leuke, Luisa Schulze, Danik Snelder, Dragana Svijic, or Nina Kamto.
Well, you didn't even have to make to name them all five. I could have stopped you after the first one. Heidi Leuke.
Heidi Leuke, very clear, very straightforward. Joachim, can I give you centre back and right back?
Yeah.
Centre back, Karolina Kudlac, Leipzig, Ida Oden, Isabel Gulden, Aniko Kovacic, Andrea Lekic.
Isabel Gulden.
Isabel Gulden, centre back. Right back, Anna Grosch, Anna Kochitova, Nora Mörk, Katarina Bulatovic, Susan Müller.
That's a tough one. I go with Nora Mörk.
Nora Mörk as right back. Adrian, can I give you the right wing and the best coach? Well, you have no choice. Right wing, Lee-Christine Riegeloth-Koren, Katrin Engel, Radmila Petrovic, Alexandra Donaski-Mento, Jovanka Radicevic.
Well, it's very hard to pick one, but if I were to choose, I'd pick Radicevic because she was great on counterattacks, and I also saw her playing as a line player, so that polyvalent player. So I'm going to choose her.
Radicevic on the right wing. Your best coach of the season, Adrian? Ambrosch Martin, Ole Gustav Gekstad, Dragan Acic, Viktor Jabik, or your Bayamaro favorite, Tone Tisley. Is that how you pronounce him? How do you pronounce him correctly?
Bayamare?
Yeah, the coach.
I don't know. I think Tiseli, no?
It's Tischel.
How do you Tischel?
Tischel, yeah.
Oh, there you go. So learn.
Okay. So I would have picked Martin Ambrosch because I was very impressed with what he done in Gyor, but I'm going to go with Ole Gustav Gekstad because he didn't lose the game until now.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. I'm just going to quickly go through it again. So we have Sandra Toft as the goalkeeper. We've got Dembele on the left wing. We've got Niago as left back. Leuke is the line player. Gulden is our centre back. Nora Mörk on the right back. Radicevic on the right wing. And this team is coached by, excuse me, Ole Gustav Gekstad from Larvik. Brilliant team. That will potentially win the Final Four, but we will see. Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you. There's definitely going to be one Hangout left, which will be just ahead of the MVM EHF Final Four at the beginning of May. And I'm sure I'll see at least a couple of you there. So thanks for joining us again. Thank you. And have a good night. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Have a good Easter.
Bye-bye.